Noon on April 28th, Friday. It is Friday. Not that it matters to me anymore because I'm not working, but I still feel excited about Fridays. um, but today we're going to go to the Old Testament, and we remember that the Old Testament, or I should say, know that the Old Testament, like Genesis, everything we read in Scripture, everything we study in Scripture is leading us to Jesus. I'm going to Isaiah today, and Isaiah is the book of Isaiah is one of the books where it point a lot. One second, I'm gonna turn this light on. I think it'll be better. It Isaiah is one of those books in the Bible. It is the book in the Old Testament where you see more reference to Jesus. You also, hi Pat, you also see the Isaiah quoted a lot in the New Testament in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They quote Isaiah. I'm still paying y'all. Isn't that horrible? Tell me to wear gloves. I don't know how to do that. I have plenty of them, but whatever. Uh, I they the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and also John quote Isaiah a lot in talking about Jesus. The good news that we uh, get on these little brief moments uh, are all about Jesus. Everything is about him, you guys. It's just it's it. He is the answer. He is the answer to whatever the question is. If you are trying to live, if you are living a life that you have already accepted Jesus Christ as that person you need in order for to have salvation. He's the answer to everything. And so in Isaiah 61, the good news in Isaiah 61 that I'm going to read today is about the oppressed people in that day. Obviously, they were oppressed. They were oppressed because of their behavior. We're not going to go there. But the thing is that no matter what, no matter how bad they got, God always came back to them. Wait, or he was always, no, he was always waiting for them to come back to him. Though they chose all these other gods and forgot about the one and only sovereign God, the God who created heaven and earth, the God who spoke a word and created the entire universe. They sometimes forgot him and carved up gods from gold or wood or whatever. And God was always waiting on them to realize that he was right there. He was the answer. And he was right there waiting for his children to come back home to him. This is one of the times when God speaks a word through Isaiah telling the oppressed people what he has to offer them. I'm going to say, for lack of a better way to say it. And here's how it reads Isaiah 61. I'm going to read 1 through 3, and I'm going to skip a little because it's just a little bit too much detail for today. So I'm gonna read 1 through 3, and then I'm gonna skip to 6 through 11. Okay, here's how it reads. Oh God, I'm not sure exactly which ones Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but Jesus speaks these words while he walks the earth. He said, this is what it says. The Spirit of the Lord, the Spirit of the sovereign Lord is upon me. For the Lord has anointed me to bring good news. Oh, my mouse. Come on. There it is. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me start over. The Spirit of the sovereign Lord is upon me. For the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He's talking about Jesus. He's talking about Jesus. He's anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to comfort the brokenhearted, to proclaim that the captives will be released and prisoners will be freed. He has sent me to tell those who mourn that the time of the Lord's favor has come. The time of the Lord's favor is the moment Jesus entered the earth as a human being. That is the time of Lord's favor. And with it, the day of God's anger against their enemies. God fights our battles. We don't have to fight them. All we have to do is stay close to Him, worship Him, and know that He's in control. So when there's somebody or something attacking you, know that you don't have to get all excited trying to fight that battle for yourself. God fights our battles. God fights our battles. So He says, and with it, the day of God's anger against their enemies. To all who mourn in Israel, obviously we're not in Israel. Abraham's children are in Israel, but Abraham's children are also right here in Michigan or wherever you might be. We know that we are Abraham's children because Abraham believed and was counted righteous, and therefore he was the one who God said the whole earth would be blessed through. And when we believe like Abraham believed and we are counted as righteous, we too are part of that family. He will give a crown of beauty for ashes, a joyous blessing instead of mourning, festive praise instead of despair. In their righteousness, whose righteousness? Our righteousness, but it's not the righteousness that we do on our own. It is the righteousness of God. We believe, and therefore we are righteous. We are the righteousness of God. In their righteousness, our righteousness, they will be like great oaks that the Lord has planted for His own glory. I don't know anything about trees, but I've heard that the great oak is one that it can't be just knocked down. It's a firm standing tree, long standing tree, and that's why it's used. 6. I'm going down to 6 now. 6 says, "You will be called priest of the Lord. You are priest of the Lord. Ministers of our God. You are ministers of our God." Jesus said, "Go and tell the world about who He is and what He's done for them." You minister to the people that come into your lives because God is the one who sent them there. And He sent them there for you to minister to. It says, "You will feed on treasures of the nations and boast on their riches. Instead of shame and dishonor, you will enjoy a double share of honor. You will possess a double portion of prosperity in your land. And everlasting joy will be yours." Joy. The joy that we have is not the joy from circumstances. We have a joy because we know who we are. We know who we are, and we know who our Father is, and we know who our big brother is. I call Jesus my big brother because He's the firstborn of all God's children. So He is my big brother. 4, I, the Lord, love justice. I hate robbery and wrongdoing. I will faithfully reward my people for their suffering and make an everlasting covenant with them. Their descendants will be recognized, our children, and our children's children, and honored among the nations. Everyone will realize that they are the people the Lord has blessed. This is the part that really stuck with me this morning. 10 says, I am overwhelmed with the joy in the Lord my God, for he has dressed me with the clothing of salvation. He has dressed. Notice that we ain't got to do nothing but accept what he gives. He has, like we a child, like we a toddler, and we get the toddler's dressed for the day. He has dressed us with the clothing of salvation and draped me in a robe of righteousness. I am like a bridegroom dressed for a wedding, or a bride with her jewels. The sovereign Lord will show his justice to the nations of the world. Everyone will praise him. His righteousness will be like a garden in early spring with plants springing up everything. This is the part I want to focus on for the good news. I am overwhelmed with joy in the Lord my God, for he has dressed me. He put it on me. Salvation. He put that salvation on. He clothed me with his salvation. You too. I say me, but though that when I say me, you say me. And draped me with a robe of righteousness. I have salvation and righteousness, both of which I did nothing to earn or can do nothing to um, take it away. God has clothed me, and can't nobody take off what God put on. God has clothed me with his salvation, and draped me with a robe of righteousness. So what do we do with that? We walk in this world like we are God's children, like we are, like our salvation is sealed. We're not afraid of what's going on in this world because we know that we are God's children. And we also know that when we close our eyes on this side of the world, on this side of the dirt, and somebody's dug a hole, when we go in it, it's just a part of the process. We still live. Clothed and salvation means that I've already passed from death to life. For already, I want to keep stressing this because we ought to know who we are and what's ours. We are clothed in salvation because we believe. How do I know you believe? Because you on this line, you on this stream. And who does that at 12 p.m. on Friday? You are a believer. I am a believer. God has clothed us with his salvation and draped us with a robe of righteousness. And we are going to walk this earth like we are God's children, and we are already sealed from death to life. We have already got righteousness. No, we don't always act as if we're righteous, but God has given us his righteousness. So when he look at us, he don't see our righteousness because we don't have none. He see his own righteousness. And that is the point. That is the good news. God's done all the work. He's done all the work. But what good is a brand new car in your driveway if you don't get in it and drive it? What good is $1 million in your bank account if you don't go and do something with it? What good is a brand new, beautiful dress if you don't put it on? Put it on. Wear it. When people look at you, they ought to know, hmm, something different about her. Something's different about him. We are clothed with salvation and draped with righteousness. And that is the good news of the day. And tell somebody. And all we got to do, anybody, all of us, all we got to do is believe. Believe. That's easy. Well, not always so easy, but we've already done that. So we ought to just walk in it. I love you guys. Walk in your righteousness, walk in your healing, walk in your salvation, walk in your holiness, walk in your Father's love. I love you, Pat. Believe it. God is amazing. He's working. He's doing exactly what we need to done. And though it don't always look good or feel good, it's good. It's good. All right. I love you guys, and you have an amazing day and weekend. See you on Monday for Good News at Noon at 12 on Monday. Bye.